Hey, it's Miss Barb.
Hey, it's Mr. Dave.
It's Easter 5. Wow, can you believe it? The 5th week after Easter. And today we're going to walk through a lesson that talks about we are the church and go from the top guy all the way down to us. Everybody has an important role, and it's important that all of us do it together. And so I'm going to share my screen, Mr. Dave, and we're going to kind of dive in because we have a bunch of stuff to share with you.
Yeah, and this is our second to last lesson. We got this lesson, and then we got one in 2 weeks. It's going to be a live Zoom thing. And then we're done for the year. So we're kind of sad about that. But we know everybody's looking forward to summer. And we hope that pretty soon we'll be able to see you all in person. So fingers crossed.
Yes. And I just want to share with you, we had a baptism. That was something that we haven't done for a long time. And there's pictures where there's Father Pete and Mother Sarah, and they're being baptized outside, and just a little peek underneath there, that's inside the church. So this Sunday, we're going to have communion for the first time. So that's a big deal. In a couple of weeks, we're actually might be going inside or maybe in June it is, going inside for a little bit. So we're creeping along, we're getting there, and there's some things that are just going back to way, we're doing some things before COVID. So I think things are loosening up, and we're thankful. So let's talk about the structure of the church. This is kind of something that, most people, hey, I'm Episcopal, I go to St. Mary's. What does that mean? And so we're part of a very strong structure of a church. It's kind of like the government here in the US. So we start with, we don't have a president, we have a bishop, and that's Bishop Curry in a lot of different ways. He's a great leader, a strong Christian, and the right man for the job right now, man.
And he's really funny. He's got, look at his great smile. He's just a real funny, interesting guy.
Yes, and so he's called a presiding bishop. So he's in charge of all the bishops in the United States. And then in Virginia, we have 3 bishops, and one of them is the main bishop or the lead bishop, and 2 are helping support her. And so this is Bishop Goff, and she is, what she's standing in front of is our coat of arms. So hold that thought, but take a look at it. I want you to think of some things when we break this down, what they are. So there's some ships. This looks like a flag. This looks like something a bishop wears. And there's a key, all hints on what's in that code. And then this is Bishop Brooke Davison. She's the assistant bishop, and she's from Texas. We met her at St. Mary's just right before things closed down. So we're excited that she came to visit us. And then this is Bishop Taylor, and that makes the 3. The Bishop Goff is the main one, and those are the 2 assistant bishops. So getting back to this coat of arms. Hey, Mr. Dave, what's a coat of arms? Is that a flag? I've seen it in a flag, but is it?
A little bit like a flag. It's basically a symbol that it represents sort of what you are. So if you look at this one, as Miss Barb said, at the very top, there's a hat that a bishop wears, and it has a specific name. It's called a mitre, M-I-T-R-E. So you call it a bishop's mitre. And if we were actually in person, we would all make bishop mitres out of paper. And then you'll see on the right hand side this thing with this like twisty hook on it. Kind of looks like a shepherd's crook. It's actually got a specific name. It's called a crozier, and the crook is supposed to resemble what shepherds used to use to kind of keep their sheep in line. And so this is the bishop tending to his or her flock. The other thing that's going diagonally is a key, and that represents Jesus giving Peter the keys to the church.
Right.
And then you have the 3 ships in there, which are supposed to represent the landings at Jamestown way back in 1607. And so in the Americas, it was really the English church until, as you know, after the Revolution, the United States formed its own country. And right after that, it formed its own American Episcopal Church. The Episcopal Church is actually part of the broader, what they call Anglican Church, which has representatives all around the world. But we have our own Episcopal Church in the US, and as Miss Barb showed, Presiding Bishop Curry is the head of that.
Right. And there's a flag in there. I think that's St. George's flag.
That's
I know
right.
that some of our campers go to St. George's camp. So I thought that was a nice tie-in too.
Yep.
Now we're broken down into, Bishop Goff is in charge of this whole area, and this whole area is from Richmond to Norfolk to Arlington, out to Winchester, and over by Shrinemont.
Right.
So she has this whole area, and each one of those, I think, is called a deanery. But we're all broken up, and we all, each one meets. And so there are a lot of Episcopal churches around that gather and share ideas with one another. So not only are we a part of St. Mary's, but we're part of Arlington, and we're part of the Diocese of Virginia, and we're part of the Church of the U.S. So all making them feel loved. All of us have an important role to play in all of those
and the diocese is kind of like a state, equivalent to a state. So it's got sort of its own rules that govern within the state. Obviously, there's some rules set at the national level, but Bishop Goff kind of sets the rules for this diocese. The other thing is, you might wonder where the word Episcopal comes from and what that means. So Episcopal comes from the Greek word episkopos, which means bishop or having a bishop. And so we are a church that has very strong bishops in it. There are other churches that have maybe a less centralized structure, and that's okay, that's their thing. But we are a church that believes strongly in having bishops. And the other thing that that you see with bishops is wherever they are headquartered, there's a chair that's called the cathedra, Latin word cathedra. And that's where you get the word cathedral, because cathedral is basically the main church where the bishop has his or her headquarters. And there's actually a chair in St. Mary's that we kind of reserve to be the bishop's chair for when he or she arrives or visits. And so we'll move that chair out. As far as I know, nobody else sits in that chair except for the bishop.
Yeah, I think I have a picture of that. I remember that it's a heavy chair at St. Mary's with big arms. And so the bishop comes for a couple of times a year. And the most important time is when he or she confirms people. And so that's each person has their own, a bishop can only do certain things. And then another piece of this is that here at St. Mary's, we have lots and lots of people, and they're different types of people doing different things. We have priests that, here's Father Pete, and they fall in between us and the bishop as far as the hierarchy go. And then here's there's Father Marrow coming up. I think I got him on video, but here he comes up. He's about to do the sermon. And then there's Mother Sarah, and right behind him we're really lucky at St. Mary's, is part of our mission to the Episcopal Church is to help seminarians who are people who want to be priests or deacons. They go to school over in Alexandria at Virginia Seminary. And so part of St. Mary's mission is to help give them a place to train. And so they come for 2 or 3 years, no, 1 or 2 years, depending on what their vocation is. but it's kind of like practicing. It's like an internship on being a parish priest, or
Right.
maybe someone can follow. I know we've had some with Gregory, Dr. Hooker, if they want to be a musician in a parish or something. So we have lots of, and I think it's fun to remind us all what St. Mary's looks like, and we can watch in the video the different people who help serve St. Mary's. And one of those people, here's Father Pete, and we see him a lot in Children's Chapel. And what did he do during COVID? He grew a big, huge beard. I'm waiting for him to shave it off. But my question to you is, in the Children's Chapel videos, he has a pet. Maybe even 2 pets. I can't figure out but what is the pet? What type of animal is the pet? And I'm not sure I know the name. So if you know the name, then you can add that. So we're gonna work on some questions for next week when we gather. So it's important to start. Now this is Mother Sarah. This is Mother Sarah when she went to go pick up her palms for Palm Sunday. And so just like all of us, we're being safe and wearing our masks. And she went to the drive-by to pick up her palms.
She always has the coolest masks too.
Yes, and now this is her preaching in her office at home. So it doesn't matter for a priest where you are. You can be virtual, you can be in person, you can be on Zoom, but priests want to help serve their parish. They teach us maybe better ways to interpret our Bibles, maybe better ways to act or think, or to really, for Miss Barb, is to make sure I say the right words at the right time. Sometimes I think I want to say what I'm thinking, or the vice versa. So Mother Sarah helps us too. And when we act in Sunday school, one of the 3 of them, just like in Children's Chapel, will come and visit us and help explain what a priest does. The priests break the bread. So when you see them up at the altar there with Father Pete and Father Marrow, everybody can do a sermon, but only priests can break the bread. So
yeah, they're the only ones who can baptize people and marry people, officiate over a marriage ceremony and other sorts of things.
Okay. So it's a nice little pecking order. Now, who's this? This is a new guy on the scene. I love this. This is evening prayer, and evening prayer is supposed to start at 8:30. And
where is it? Where is my Book of Common Prayer? There it is.
He's human. He's just like Miss Barb. He's like, he's late. He's starting without his materials. But this is Freddie. Freddie is a new seminarian of ours. And he started during COVID. So we only know him virtually. And look, that's his dorm room at the Virginia Seminary. And so look, he has his microwave. If you have any brothers or sisters away at college, their rooms might look like this too.
Yeah.
So this is a training, wants to be a priest or a deacon. And so part of the things that they have to learn to do is say the services. And Mr. Dave, you have a Book of Common Prayer. In our Book of Common Prayer, there's a lot of services in there. And just one of them happens to be evening prayer, which is short, and it kind of closes your day out. I think we all enjoy that from time to time. Now here's, she's actually a deacon now. This is Lydia Simmons, who's she's a 3rd-year seminarian. She's just about to graduate. And I'm going to have this as a link, but she just got ordained as a deacon, and she will tell you everything you need to know about a deacon. She's from South Dakota, and this is her home church. And so she just got ordained as a deacon. So deacons wear collars too, but she can't do the communion yet. And they wear their stole a very special way. So she'll walk you through what types of vestments that they can wear. And there's 3 things that a deacon can do. And if you listen to the video, you'll find out what those 3 things are, and they're very important. And so Lydia is going to graduate this year, and there's 2 types of deacons. Some deacons want to just serve all the time and stay as a deacon. And actually, Miss Allison's dad just got ordained as a deacon a couple of weeks ago. And then Lydia wants to be a priest, but one of the steps along her path is to be a deacon first. And so she's a deacon for either 6 months or a year, depending on her church. And guess what? Even though she went to school in Virginia Seminary, her diocese and her bishop live in South Dakota. And so, maybe we'll do a mission trip out there one time, go and see her. But her passion is Native Americans and trying to help sometimes they've gotten some really, really bad, their history in the US has just been horrible. And so the good news is that we're realizing that. And Dave, maybe you can help us here, is with the Native people, we weren't so nice in the beginning, and I think we're making up for time. And people like Lydia have whole missions that are geared toward helping improve their life.
Yep. Yeah. So, before a lot of the Europeans came to the Americas, there were people living here already, just like, they're sort of native lands, and also like in South America. And, in a lot of cases, people basically stole their land or forced them off their land or did even worse things to them. And that kind of put them on a bad path for, many, a couple hundred years. And so I think our society is now getting better at realizing that we really need to help those people because they've been set back for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm. So that's Lydia's whole mission. I mean, she's dedicating her life to that. And so all of us have different missions, and, not all of us are going to be priests and deacons, and very few of us are going to be bishops, but it starts with a prayer. It starts with an idea. And the great news about the Episcopal Church is that you can do whatever you set your mind out to do. There are no holdbacks. There's no issues with, what skin color you have, or what types of people you hang out with, or whether you're male or female or gender neutral, whatever, none of that matters. You have to love the Lord and serve. And between, God and you and all the people that you support in a parish, they'll help find your mission and look for it. And I think that's what all of us are trying to do, is trying to figure out what's God want me to do while I'm here.
Yeah. And the fun thing is, and we're really lucky, that Miss Barb and I both realized, at least we think this is true, that God wants us to teach Sunday school, which is great because we love teaching Sunday school. So that's a way that we feel like we're serving. And Miss Barb and I also serve on the vestry, which is sort of the committee that helps run the church. And you can serve in, the smallest of ways. I think Miss Barb's going to show some pictures in a minute of all the ways that we serve, by helping others. There's these food drives, helping clean up the church. We celebrated someone's birthday. So even the smallest ways are helpful. One, because you're helping other people, but also God just loves it when you help out in some way at the church. Well, we're all pretty sure that makes God smile a lot. And so even just going up to help do some gardening or, some cleanup or whatever, that's a great thing to do. And you are serving God and serving the church and serving others that way.
Right. I think that's all of this. Nothing too big or too small that we can or cannot do. I just think that all of this adds up to serving others. And Dave and I keep, we only have kind of two rules: love one another, is one of them. And so this is the way we love each other. And so
right.
how do we show our faith? Sometimes people want to be priests and talk in sermons and do big stuff, and other people just want to help rake some leaves or feed people. When we're boxing over at Santa Maria, just making the carrots into smaller bags, so 10 families can have carrots instead of one huge Mondo bag. So that's our lesson today, Mr. Dave. I think as we get toward, waking up in the church, we'll share more news and more pictures, but it's kind of exciting just to remind us, who's in there and what does our church look like and how we're structured. And I look forward to in a couple of weeks meeting on Zoom to say so long for the third graders are going to graduate, and they start fourth grade, and in fourth grade they graduate into the church full time, and then they also start a little bit of a youth group program. And so lots of exciting things. And second graders, you got us for another year.
Well, we'll come up with some new fun tricks, particularly if we're in the church building. We're going to be super excited to be back together.
Yeah. Now, Dave, I know that I heard Lydia say that a deacon, one of the things that a deacon does is to, what is it called? You dismiss the church, or
it can be a dismissal, or I think benediction, which basically means say something good. And so, there are a couple of things if you want to look up yourself in the Book of Common Prayer on page 339. But these will sound familiar to you because this is how we close out the service. So there are a couple of different ways you can do it. First, you can say, and when the priest or deacon says it, then the parish says, "Thanks be to God." So
thanks be to God. So that's pretty easy. That's all I have to say.
So
okay.
Let us go forth in the name of Christ.
Thanks
be to God. Or we can say, go in peace to love and serve the Lord. Thanks be to God. Or let us go forth into the world rejoicing in the power of the Spirit. Thanks be to God. Let us bless the Lord. Thanks be to God.
Well, y'all have a good week, and just kind of take it all in. You'll have a warm up your brain sheet on being Episcopal. There's going to be your coat of arms on how to identify the pieces. There's the video of Deacon Lydia, and she has 3 ways you can name her: Mother Lydia, Deacon Lydia, and there's another one. So take a look at that. And then just sharing our pictures of what our church looks like, what our friends look like, and how we, whether we're second or third grade, or on vestry, or teaching Sunday school, how we can all serve one another. So have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
2 weeks.
Oh, 2 weeks. Yeah.
Live. Bye.
Bye-bye.